Hey there, it's almost August, so for me that means where I live it's the beginning of the last third of the summer. For me, this month seems a little bit different. I usually do kind of a monthly collage or mood board kind of thing, but I don't have a printer here at my house that works super well for me. So I usually use the one in my college, and I printed out a whole bunch of photos right before I went on summer break. But now I'm running low on ones that go really well together to create like a cohesive kind of page. And yeah, it's not great. So for this, I decided to conserve some of my prints and do a pen and ink illustration as my cover page with my Micron, and I tried not to use any other colors, but I wound up having to throw some green in there on the monthly calendar and the books to read page, just because there's like certain spots on there that I always use some kind of highlight color. But overall, I think it turned out really cool in just black and white. Um, it looks almost very like delicate, and it's got those kind of cozy like end of summer vibes. I don't know how many of you guys like go back to school this fall, but for me, August is always just, it's the third month of summer, but it's also, you're starting to look ahead towards fall, and it's almost got this like softer feel than the first 2 months where it's all like really bright, hot sunshine. August is a little more laid back and maybe a little cloudier, a little softer light. So I chose to do this theme that's just like this really, really like windy, leaves blowing, grass blowing, trees bending outdoor scene. A landscape, that's what artists call them, a landscape. And I chose to make this page with like front to back approach. So I started with the outside of this rectangle where the window is, just for some like line reference, and then I drew the windowsill because that's like the very frontmost thing you'd hit if you were to walk into this window, and then the glass of flowers because that's in front of everything else, then the trim on the window, and then the landscape outside. And I added in 3 trees. I think it's 3, it might have been 4. I guess we'll both see. I always forget what I did. And I had them kind of blowing off to the right, with the wind blowing off to the right too. And leaves blowing off some of the trees. They look really like bare right now, but it's not quite that autumnal yet. So they got really filled up with these rounded, stacked leaves that remind me of an illustrator named Carson Ellis, who illustrated one of my favorite books. And basically the cover of the book has trees that look just like this. So I get good feels from looking at this page already. I definitely would say do the like swirly cloud trees if you're trying to maximize your time, but for me I had a little bit of time to kill, and drawing in all these leaves was kind of relaxing, so I just went for it. But it is time consuming. I don't know what else to talk about. Oh, I had to use a ruler for this page to make all the lines of those individual window panes line up, and I hate using rulers. I always manage to like slip halfway through drawing a line and having it look even worse than if I just drawn it by hand. But I was super careful with it this time, and I didn't make any mistakes, and I'm very proud of myself because that never happens for me. And then I ended up like moving on to use the ruler on drawing my monthly too, and it was all good, and I didn't make any mistakes. I just wanted to celebrate that. It's been a really long time since I've done a whole setup in just black and white like this, so it was a super fun challenge, and I think I'm gonna want to do it again, or just maybe with colored pencil instead of the collage-y stuff that I usually do. I just really enjoy figuring out how to make it like high contrast but still look very pretty and delicate like this. And then I just wrote the letters in simple print. See, it's all this month's theme, even though the drawings were kind of complicated, was all about like minimalism in supplies, and I guess a little bit in the like text and stuff too. Because I think though, even though I spent kind of a long time drawing that first landscapes theme, this was one of the shortest setups I've done for a while. Although truly that may be partially because I spend so much time shuffling stuff around on screen, like figuring out the layout of collage stuff. And this time I had sketched out the whole setup beforehand. Yeah, I don't know. So then over here I carried over the window motif, I guess. I'm not going to use the word motif, that's very pretentious sounding to my own ears. So I carried over that same like imagery to the other pages of this setup by just doing like smaller scenes that took me a lot less time. So if you wanted to incorporate this idea, you don't have to do the whole page like I did. You can add smaller boxes to kind of just add visual interest to a page. It's kind of a different take on like botanicals or florals, just a way to mix up your decorations on your page. And the other good thing is that you can do it in a really small area and still get that effect. You can just pick a box and do the whole design inside that tiny little box of space. Or you could end up doing multiples to break up another image. But for right here, I like only having the one so it doesn't take up too much space in my gratitude log. I'm sorry, this is a gratitude log page. I should have said that. I usually just use each number as a day and list for that day things that I was grateful for with like kind of comma lists. It's not very articulate, but it just helps me be mindful of that each day. Okay, this part. Like I said, I hardly ever use rulers to set up my spreads, mainly because I just think it's really convenient to just follow the dots and draw lightly so that you can keep a steady line all the way down the page. That being said, it's really hard, for me at least, to do that successfully and without mistakes when I'm trying to like keep my head out of the camera for you guys, because I find I'm much more successful with the lines when I like hunch over my notebook like a turtle so I can get my eyes really close and make sure I'm getting all the dots that I need to. But for using a camera and not being able to hunch over my notebook, the ruler was actually really successful. I usually like slip but this time all my lines turned out perfect and there were no casualties and it was all good. And then, oh, I went back and erased. I guess I could have done it at the end, but yeah. Here, I tomboed over the whole side of my page to attach some light green cardstock there, and then I just cut it along the edge to make it fit the page exactly so that it wouldn't have like weird ends sticking out. I don't even like tabs in my notebook, much less like weird pieces of paper that weren't cut successfully. But I like having that cardstock there just to grab the page and to decorate it a little bit without having to do too much work on there. And then I just numbered off my days, and I think this is around when I realized that August has 31 days and not only 30. And then I went back and fixed it in my gratitude log too. Oh, no, I'm checking my computer to be sure. Yep. Okay, there's 31 days. Okay, moving on. I highlighted my top bar with my green Tombow and wrote my days out. I always do a Monday start so that my weekend days are glommed together at the end instead of being like sad little islands on either side of the work week. There's more of a thing that stresses me out. It's probably not a big deal. And then I went back and printed my gratitude header. Now you can see it's a gratitude page. And then I went through and wrote August again on the calendar spread. I think I actually ended up doing it in like capitalized print instead of just, instead of cursive, because I could make the cursive come out nicely. But the print came out really nicely, and then I threw that little forest stairs picture in there. And I did a starburst above the August for decoration. Oh, in 2018. Oh yeah, that looks a lot better. And yeah, that was my whole monthly calendar. And then the last step here for my monthly setup is my reading log page with just another like window landscape up there for decoration and August books in a simple like capitalized and then lowercase print. Oh, and now it has a mug on it. How cute. I usually fill up this page, but last month, or I guess this month, it's still July, I just did not read that many books. The past couple months, I've read a lot of books, and they've all been not very good. So I've just been in a huge reading slump, and I got kind of discouraged this month about, like, I could read as many books as I want, but I, like, wasn't enjoying any of them. So, if any of you guys have recommendations, I'm very willing to try anything new. I'm so bored of all the books that I've been reading. So, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this. I should have left the lake water blank, but I added all those waves and it just doesn't look as good now. Okay, and then I highlighted across the bottom for my space for the date that I started and finished the book, and the title and author. So hopefully I'll be able to fill up this page with a couple more books than I did last month. And that's pretty much it. And then this is my final header page, my final gratitude page, my final monthly calendar, and lastly, the books to read page. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and if you like the video, leave a like or a comment or whatever, and if you want to see daily pages, follow me on Instagram, and that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!